Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Ahmed Mian. Today I'm joined by Connor
Hey guys.
and Mike.
Hello.
And this is our first episode of 2021. Small break there for about 3 weeks or so. And yeah, it's a new year. Hopefully it's going to be a better year.
Yeah,
2020 was the worst year.
I think it's nice that we were able to take this break, and in that time, not a single thing happened in the
Yeah,
world.
no, 2021 has been going great so far.
Yeah.
It's but in all honesty, like I always expected 2021, at least like the first half to just be 2020 part 2, and that
Oh
seems
yeah.
to be happening.
2020 definitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Um So yeah, in terms of the real world, things are not so great. But in the world of video games, I would argue 2020 was a pretty great year.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
mean, it's hard to compete with Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing, The Last of Us Part Two,
Yeah,
Noita.
all sorts of really, top shelf games on pretty much every platform, major platform out there. Yeah, every single one. Nintendo had great games, Sony had great games, Microsoft had great games, great PC exclusives. So yeah, I think for this first part of the episode at least, I wanted to just sort of reflect on gaming in 2020 and maybe talk about some of our potential game of the year candidates and stuff like that.
2020 was a big year for me gaming wise. I think just being at home so much kind of had me trying a lot of different
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I finally played through a turn-based RPG and enjoyed it. That was huge for me. Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah, because I really never, I mean, like, I respected your opinion, but, like, I really couldn't understand that stance that all turn-based RPGs were garbage. Like,
I mean, I still haven't found one that I like as much as because I think I like Dragon Quest 11's combat probably even more than I like Persona 5.
really?
But I
Okay.
went back and played some older ones, and I still kind of Dragon Quest 11 is special, I think, and Persona 5 are special. Like, I still think that that's not my genre, but I'm no longer in the camp that they're all bad, and I don't think I would have learned that about myself had I been able to go hang out with my friends instead of instead of befriending a bunch of weird anime superheroes in
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 11.
Speaking of anime superheroes, last year, I know this doesn't really affect the three of us that much, but Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, and that was a dream game for so many people.
Yeah, I've been watching a streamer play it, and I'm still gonna give it a chance probably on my own sometime, but so far I don't like it.
Really? I mean,
Yeah,
it's combat isn't like traditional, right? It's like an action-based combat system.
right. The combat looks like a mix between like Final Fantasy 15 and turn-based combat, but all the enemies kind of look like massive damage sponges on a normal difficulty. So maybe the
Yeah,
guy I'm watching is not great at it. Maybe not. I don't know. I still want to give it a chance. But
I also want to give it a chance, but I'm like pretty resolved to play the original Final Fantasy VII before I play
yeah,
Remake.
yeah, I get that.
Not only for, just the completeness of the experience, but I have also heard for story-related spoiler reasons, it's a good idea to do that, which is a very interesting statement to me. I
Yeah, I've heard
don't
that
know
as well.
quite what to make of that. So, yeah. I mean, that was a big game, for the world, I guess, but maybe you could go through some of your top personal games of 2020.
Me personally, I mean,
Yeah.
I listed a few of them already, but obviously Doom Eternal was huge for me. I
Yeah.
talked about it on the podcast. I'm waiting for my new graphics card to pick up the DLC, which is kind of killing me. Uh, I I played I missed Outer Wilds last year, and I played that this year, and that game was like life changing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm very close to playing that.
yeah, you
Like
need to.
I've actually like legit got it downloaded on my PS5.
Yeah, you need to play it like
Yeah.
after we record. Um, Spelunky 2 came out. That didn't end up rocking my world the way that I had kind of hoped it would, but that's okay because it's still a great game.
I mean, was it just more Spelunky in a
Yeah,
nutshell?
exactly. It's more
Which is
Spelunky, and
obviously
like
a good thing.
that's how Spelunky 1 was for me. I never really sat down and played it constantly. So, like Spelunky 1 was just kind of a comfort food, go visit it when I can. Spelunky 2 did make me finally beat Spelunky 1, which was a huge accomplishment for me. This year was kind of the year of roguelikes, actually. A lot of those happening this year.
I mean, the elephant in the room, Hades, was the game-changing roguelite.
But the one that, and probably my game of the year is absolutely Noita. That game has eaten me alive. I got that in like July, and I have well over 100 hours in it. Trying to bring up my hours. Anyway, that game, I've talked about it on the podcast a million times, so I'll just give a short, in case this is somebody's first episode. It's a game where you play as a witch, which is Noita is Finnish for witch, and it's kind of like those Falling Sand games almost in its execution, because the entire game world, every pixel is simulated, so things can fall, things can set on fire, chemical reactions can happen. Your spells that you can craft interact in really weird ways, and basically you just work your way down this mountain, and if you're really good at the game, you work your way back up, and but you only have to work your way down to get to the ending.
Yeah, and, that
super fun.
Each pixel was like procedurally generated or whatever. Like that concept is really. I mean, we've seen that concept not on steroids before. Like I would argue Terraria and Minecraft sort of do that, but like for each pixel to be dynamic like that, that's like
the way this
game
behaves is so much more similar to Breath of the Wild than
how
Terraria
reactive its systems are and stuff.
Yeah, like the way you can start a fire and it can spread, and an enemy can catch on fire, and an enemy can walk over next to an explosive barrel, and because that enemy is on fire, that barrel's going to explode. And like those systems sort of open up, even if you get dealt a pretty bad hand with spells and stuff, you can still be smart and make it work a lot of the time. Sometimes you get bad RNG and you just don't really stand a chance, but that's pretty rare once you. I don't want to say that's pretty rare once you get good, because it did take me probably 80 hours to get good enough that the RNG is not like that. I'm not super dependent on RNG for a good run, but
yeah.
You can get there, and the fact that it's possible to get there at all makes me think that it's a good game. I'm not willing to fault the RNG if you can overcome it.
Right, it has enough depth to overcome it.
It's really just like even though I've done almost everything the game has to offer at this point, I still want to sit down every once in a while and do like an 8-hour run.
Yeah, that's the mark of a really great game. Like that's how I really feel about Civilization, honestly.
It's a game I can sit down and be like, this is the game I'm going to play this weekend. And yeah. And that's crazy good.
I was wondering before we started this, like just knowing you, I knew you'd either pick Doom Eternal or Noita. I was curious to which one.
See, in my mind, it's not even a contest. Noita blows Doom Eternal out of the water. I love Doom Eternal, but Noita was just so incredible.
Yeah, that's an awesome pick. I feel like not a lot of people have even heard of that game, much less put it on their Game of the Year list, so I'm glad we can highlight it here.
Yeah.
Mike.
All right.
What do you have for us?
So this year was more of a backlog cleaning year, really, for me.
Sure.
Like I finally started playing Slay the Spire and dug into that finally.
Oh man, I gotta try that.
It's a lot of fun, honestly. That's all I did on Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was home away from my computer. I popped it in Steam Remote Play. Works perfectly.
Yeah, it's a card game, right?
It functions really well.
Like a deck building game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very high IQ deck building game. I want to say that much. You got to know what to get rid of and what to keep.
It's kind of like a roguelite deck building game, right?
Yeah.
Is that a weird description? Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, like that concept is so interesting to me. And just hearing Slay the Spire talked about, I feel like that's one of those games that'll just suck me in and just squeeze hundreds of hours out of me. So I'm kind of hesitant.
What else did I play this year? Did I play Borderlands 3 this year?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Last year?
It might have been this year.
That came out the year before, but you might have played it last. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of trash. I got into Elite this year. That was fun. Sucked a lot of my time away.
Not a lot of 2020 games though. Huh?
Oh, Ghost Runner was probably the big one.
Oh yeah, you were super into that for a couple weeks.
I'm still into it.
And obviously the big one, Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I still haven't finished that game. I've only put 22 hours into it.
Oh, that's actually like a very short amount of time for that game, I imagine.
Yeah, I've kind of just like fallen off of it for some reason. I don't know how. Bigger
Were you
games
running
come
into
out.
like bugs and stuff?
Nah, not even that. I think I'm now at this point waiting for a better video card.
Okay.
I'm gonna get. But Hard Space Shipbreaker came out this year. That was a fun game to play.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun to watch.
It was a lot of fun. What else? What else? I'm literally scrolling through my Steam games. Uh, God, yeah, I just cleaned a lot of my backlog out this year.
So out of those games, what would you call your personal game of the year 2020? It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter if it came out in 2020 or not. Just your
None
favorite
of
game.
those related. Among Us.
Among Us. That's a great
Among
pick.
Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. Yeah.
I
If it
don't-
doesn't matter if it came out this year, mine would be Outer Wilds.
I don't want to talk
You played that. Oh wait, you did play that in 2020. Okay.
Yep.
like Among Us is that game that took this year by storm and is still giving content.
Yeah, I still love some Among Us every once in a while, even though it's
Like-
died down a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about Among Us on this podcast before, but it really is crazy that we got the double whammy of like Fall Guys, which was just huge and took the world by storm, and everyone was like, okay, this is the next big thing. And then Among Us immediately came and was even bigger.
God, I
And
really
then-
thought Fall Guys was going to be my game of the year.
And then Phasmophobia took over for a while. It's still relevant.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if Phasmophobia ever eclipsed Fall Guys, or sorry, Among Us. I feel like Among Us just became this huge thing.
Yeah.
Like I saw like people, like streamers and stuff who don't really play video games, like
AOC
play Among
played
Us.
it.
Yeah, like what?
AOC and Ilhan Omar.
But to be fair,
yeah.
AOC plays League, so
Yeah, AOC does play League.
Does she stream it though?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I'm not saying that AOC can't be a gamer. I'm saying that
Yeah.
you know
So
a couple million people hopped on to watch her play Among Us.
Yeah.
the worst part about like AOC playing League is that there's a very real chance that I'll end up like either being on the same team as or on the other team of AOC because she's in my rank.
Oh yeah.
Well,
you're
here's the
trash
thing:
talk
aren't
it.
there like millions of people like in every rank of League?
It kind of gets better the higher you are. Like towards the end of silver, you meet less and less people.
Yeah, and you
Right.
two are in the same time zone.
Yeah, the majority of people are in bronze and iron,
I wonder what her like
which are the two lowest.
her tag is or whatever. I feel like if you looked that up and then kept an eye out, maybe that would be a
There's no
fun.
way that the tag is public.
Who knows? I probably already faced AOC in League.
That's
Yeah.
You've got a good point, Connor. There's no way she'll ever share that.
Yeah, like that would be insane.
Yeah.
Imagine the hate.
Yeah. Especially like League
Yeah.
Hate
Oh, League is
combined with like
toxic.
horrible right wing hate. You know, that would just be
Oh,
galactic levels of hate.
yeah, a lot happened.
That's a good summary. A lot. happened.
This was a year.
Yeah.
There's not
Yeah,
much
but
I can say.
I like the Among Us pick. I didn't really even think of that, but like that, like
That's a good
if you
pick,
were
yeah.
to assign a game to 2020, like it would definitely be Among Us. I think.
It literally birthed an entire like figure of speech.
Yes. Yeah.
Sus.
Yeah. Like before Among Us, that word was very rarely used. And then after Among Us, it's used a lot.
Yeah, I know that word was like popular with like younger people and like frat people. I feel like.
Yeah. It was definitely around before Among Us, but it entered the gamer lexicon with
Yeah.
Which is the important lexicon. The only lexicon
God.
that matters is the gamer lexicon. I played
Sure.
Warframe this year, I guess.
Well, Warframe is like one of those things you play every year, right?
yeah. That's
Same
not
with
going
me
anywhere.
Me and
Yeah.
Destiny.
I play it
Maple
like
Story.
yearly.
Oh God, yeah. I have more to say about that later. Yeah. So I guess I can round out the
You
three
ready
of us.
to talk to us about The Last of Us Part 2 for
Well-
another 20 minutes?
Well, I've already done that so much on the show, so I won't talk too much about it. I do want to highlight some games though. 2020 was the first year I played an Animal Crossing game which is
Oh, I forgot that was your first one.
yeah, which was a big hole in my like Nintendo gaming catalog. And I finally saw what all the hype was about. Like I really enjoyed my time with New Horizons. I think I've easily got like over 100 hours in there. I remember the first couple weeks, like I would just literally not do anything but play that game.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they had come out with content faster / put more in at the start, I would be playing it a lot longer.
Yeah, I definitely still have beef with the stuff that isn't in the game still.
There's still stuff not in the game.
Oh my god, yeah, they haven't added the cafe. I guess the cafe is the big one. Oh, the fortune teller cat's not in it.
Yeah, I don't know. With Animal, like I don't really have a desire to go back to Animal Crossing, but like I think I will, like maybe like a year or so before the newest one comes out, because then I feel like this one will be fully fleshed out.
Yeah, maybe.
But like I really enjoyed my time with Animal Crossing, and that, again, that was another one of those like huge zeitgeist moments, like Among Us and Fall Guys. Like it seemed like all of a sudden everyone and their mother had a Switch and was playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Everybody played that game.
That's such an interesting observation. We had like 3 like huge blow up gaming moments in 2020. I wonder if that's just more indicative of the fact that gaming's becoming more and more mainstream. I wonder what we're going to get in 2021.
I think the pandemic has helped games blow up the way that they have.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I think one day the pandemic is going to go away. God knows when.
Hopefully, sometime this year.
But I do not think that games blowing up like this will go away, because I feel like those people, a decent enough percentage of them, would become lifelong gamers. You know?
I think so. I think the combination of COVID and all these games that are like fun social games coming out at the same time really converted a lot of non-gamers to gamers.
Yeah, because I mean, those people that bought a Switch aren't gonna stop playing it just because they start going outside again. Like no, especially just the Switch, especially because I can take it outside.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's a very interesting observation. I'd be excited to see if that keeps up. But yeah, Animal Crossing is a big shout out for me. And then obviously we had Hades, which came out of nowhere for me, and then I think is probably tied with Hollow Knight at this point as my favorite indie game of all time.
Really?
Hades was huge for me. And I've always
incredible.
Loved Supergiant games. Like I've played Bastion, Transistor. I didn't play Pyre, but like
Bastion
I've always
was one of my first indie games, I think.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but Supergiant just has that like nice 2D style. Like to their games just feel a certain way that no other developer I think can replicate. Like they have a very distinct visual and gameplay style. And like all of that was honed to like a fine point in Hades. Like Hades is the culmination of all the work they've been doing. I think it's the best game they've ever made. And I think it's probably the best roguelite ever in my estimation. So Hades definitely deserves a huge shout out. I think if not for one game in particular, obviously, I don't have to hide it. The Last of Us Part 2, Hades would have been my game of the year.
I hate to be picky, but did you say roguelike with a K or roguelite
with a T?
Okay, I'll give that to you. It's a very because it's so far on the light end of roguelites. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but like it doesn't even really scratch the roguelike itch for me very much. Not to say that it's a bad game. I can't stress enough that I love this game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't scratch the same itch as like Spelunky or Hades do. Well, or not Hades, Spelunky or Noita.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just in terms of my personal preference, I think I prefer the roguelite genre over the roguelike, because I like the idea of some continuity between your runs. But obviously that's, totally up to personal preference.
Yeah.
And then the last sort of slice of games I want to highlight in 2020, I think, are the Sony exclusives, right? So we had 2 major PS4 exclusives to close out the PS4 console generation, which are Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2. And, both of them are very, very, popular, right? Picks for game of the year. One of them is highly controversial among, a group of gamers, right? But in my estimation, The Last of Us Part
a group of gamers and myself who was not a part of that group of gamers.
Well, it's not controversial among myself, right?
No, me. No, like I don't like it as game of the year.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
well.
don't like it as game of the year either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys haven't played it. Okay, but not getting into that argument.
Neither has that group that you're talking about.
That's a pretty good point. But yeah, my favorite game of 2020 was The Last of Us Part 2. I think it's a stunning hallmark of a fusion of narrative and gameplay and exploration and storytelling and character development, and I love that game to death. As always, I'm just excited to see what Naughty Dog does next. But yeah, those are our picks for the game of the year. The Last of Us Part 2, Noita, and Among Us. All three of which I think are very deserving of that title.
And vastly different games.
Vastly different.
Just to complement the broad range of tastes on our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now that that's out of the way, let's maybe not talk about 2020 anymore. Just because, 2020 kind of sucked overall. But
yeah, weirdly good year for gaming.
yeah, weirdly good year. The one thing we didn't mention, obviously, the next generation of consoles started, right? We've got the PS5 and the Xbox Series X.
It started for some people, not most.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole controversy in and of itself,
Yeah.
But officially, I guess it did start, and in my estimation, we got a massive game in the form of Demon's Souls as a PlayStation exclusive. I loved that game. That would probably be my number 3 game of the year of 2020, behind Hades and The Last of Us. But I think it's now, interesting. We're a couple weeks into January. If we reflect back, last year when we started the podcast up again for the first time in a while, we did an episode that was called Calm Before the Storm, the State of Gaming in 2020. And little do we know, we recorded that episode, we had our predictions out for gaming, like what was coming, what we thought would happen in 2020. And almost immediately after we put that episode out, the entire world succumbed to a global pandemic. And it's just interesting, listening to that now. We obviously had no idea, and neither did anyone, but we had no idea of the horrors that awaited us later in the year. So that's just kind of a funny thing to think about. But now I kind of want to do the same thing for 2021. Knowing what we do now, new consoles are out, some big games slated for this year. State of the world aside, do you guys think 2021 will be a good year for gaming? And if so, what do you guys think will happen?
It's so hard to say. I remember saying last year that I thought that the Breath of the Wild sequel would come out in 2020.
It's got to happen this year, right?
Yeah, I think I have to repeat that. And I also have to follow that up by saying that I don't think a Breath of the Wild sequel can come out and me not say that it's a good year for gaming. So
right,
that's kind of sealed the deal for me.
But here's the thing, though. I remember last year, we had this argument, Connor. I was adamant, this is a 2021 game. I even knew back then.
Yeah, and you were right. I was optimistic. I in my defense, 2020 started very positively for me.
It really did.
And then immediately went south. So I was in a very optimistic place when we recorded that episode.
Yeah. Yeah, Breath of the Wild 2 seems like it has to hit 2021, but one has to wonder, obviously COVID has affected the gaming industry, but we didn't really see insane delays in 2020, I think, right? We still had lots of high profile games come out in 2020, and that just makes me think, right? Maybe those games were nearing the end of their development cycle, obviously, right? So
yeah,
maybe the pandemic
think,
didn't affect them too much, but maybe we'll start seeing the effects of coronavirus on game development in 2021.
I know a lot of games follow a 2-year development cycle. I know a lot of bigger games don't, but typically, like, people like to follow the 2-year development cycle. And I don't think those games will be impacted too hard, because I think if you started a game in 2020, then you knew, like, you were able to actually plan for it from the beginning, and that probably
Right,
hurts
but
you
like
less.
let's consider the games that were like halfway through production in 2020.
Yeah, I think that
you
Metroid Prime 4 has to be in absolute development hell right now. Like,
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
wasn't already.
Didn't it go back to Retro, and Retro completely scrapped everything the previous studio worked on?
Yes.
Yeah, so that game's not coming out anytime soon. Certainly
Yeah.
not 2021.
Cyberpunk DLC probably won't come out this year.
I will say Cyberpunk proper
Maybe.
probably should have come out this year and
It
not
should've.
last year. You know,
You
so.
think Halo Infinite will come out this year?
Yes.
That's
I think
yes,
Halo Infinite will
I
come
think
out.
so,
Yeah.
but like one just has to wonder, like what if it doesn't?
I
Yeah,
think
that
this
would
will
be-
finally be the year where we actually get like proper next generation games rather than just ports. Because right now I
We'll
can't
get a
think off
couple.
the top of my head any true next gen games.
Well, I mean, I would argue Demon's Souls is a next gen game, but like obviously there's an argument to be made that it's based off a PS3 game.
Yeah, it's based off a PS3 game. It's not the true
Like
Yeah, I think we're
design
gonna-
of
launch
yeah.
title.
God, yeah, there's a Ratchet and Clank game coming out this year, isn't there? That'll
I
be
think,
amazing.
Yeah, I think that's gonna hit 2021. Like I don't see that getting delayed.
Yeah, I think
Insomniac's good for it.
2021's going to be a good year for games. I just don't think it's not going to be like another 2017 or anything, but I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I don't think like 2017 was special. I think 2018 was also quite special. And also 2020 was pretty special. So
Yeah.
I feel like the last few years just in general have been very, very
It's
good.
hard to say because a lot of the games that came out this year were special to me. Yeah, the game was good, but in large part, like, being able to share it with so many people, ironically not being able to be around those people, but like the community side of gaming was very special in 2020. And I think if the momentum from that carries into 2021, then it'll be another, it's hard to say another good year, but a good year for gaming. Like,
Yeah, and it's also worth considering. Just think of all the developers, or maybe like developers just starting out for the first time, that were influenced by 2020. Like this sort of rise in social gaming. That might pave the way for some new experiences. Maybe not in
Yeah.
2021, but maybe that'll bear fruit in the years to come.
I like to think maybe Half-Life Alyx will have kicked the door down for AAA VR experiences. Maybe PS5 VR will come out 2021.
That's
maybe
a very interesting. So VR is a whole thing to consider, right? Like I feel like Half-Life, if Half-Life Alyx, like you said, was to kick down the door, it probably should have done it last year, right?
I don't
it
think
still
so. I
seem-
mean,
In my opinion, I still feel like VR as a whole is just on the brink of becoming mainstream. It's not quite there yet. I think there needs to be that one killer app for it that everyone just has to play, and coupled with the fact that a good headset at an affordable price.
yeah, I was
like
gonna say
those two
Half-Life Alyx
things-
is that killer app, but the headsets still just aren't. There's such a problem in VR that they need to fix, which is that, like, people think that Half-Life Alyx is an $1,800 game because you have to buy the $1,000 PC.
Yeah.
You have to buy the $800 PC and the $1,000 headset, and that's not really true. Like, you have to have the expensive PC, yeah, but my headset was $200, and I had an extremely positive experience with Half-Life Alyx. That's
Okay,
still not cheap. Like, I'm not acting like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
in everyone's reach, but
Can I make an absurd prediction that I just feel in my gut will probably come true, but has no
Please-
basis in reality?
please do.
I think VR will go mainstream the year Activision releases a Call of Duty VR game, like a fully
Yeah.
fledged Call of Duty VR game. I
That's
think
probably-
if and when that happens, VR is going to explode.
I'll hate that. That'll probably just come to the Quest 2, honestly.
Yeah.
The Quest 2 is such a good headset for
See, like I
entry
feel like
level, by
on
the way.
paper that idea like has to happen, right? But like I feel like Activision is very risk averse, right? Like Call of Duty is like basically the same game every year, right? So like I don't see them devoting the resources making VR Call of Duty really good. But if they make it and it's really good, like that'll get people into VR like that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like in terms of VR in 2021 proper, I feel like it's just more stagnation, and I don't want to say like it's in a bad state. It's not in a bad state. VR is doing quite well, I think.
Yeah, but I
But,
don't
like,
see anything.
it's
Like
not
as somebody who's pretty
exploding.
plugged in, I don't see what's on the horizon.
Yeah. Like I even for Sony's PlayStation VR 2 solution or whatever they're gonna end up calling it, I don't see that coming out in 2021. Like the earliest I could see that coming out is 2022. So I think it might be a sort of just meh year for VR, but I would love to be wrong about that.
Yeah, I think that's likely, but I choose not to believe it because I want to play VR more.
Right.
And plus,
yeah.
like the PC hardware that can run it, like the recommended specs for VR have not gone up. Really, like they're
Right,
still,
yeah, that's true.
if you want to push your index to the highest possible resolution and everything, yeah, you're going to need a beefier PC. But those minimum specs have not gone up since like the 970, and that's an achievable card for people to have now.
Yeah.
That's so the barrier to entry keeps getting lower, even if the headset price hasn't really gone down.
Yeah, I feel like the minimum will only start like rising once VR is like mainstream, right? Like
Yeah.
once everyone's in it.
And
But
I
you
mean,
can't
I'm
really
not
do that until
rushing
it
for
does
the
that.
minimum to rise. VR games look like that's the minimum spec for Half-Life Alyx, and that game looks amazing. Like,
Yeah, the thing a lot of people who don't play VR don't realize that like even VR in minimum spec, that level of immersion is so strong that like it really almost doesn't even matter. Obviously, like having a better headset, immersion will be even stronger, like graphical fidelity will be even better. But like the immersion aspect in any form of VR, I would argue, is so strong. It makes its case for itself.
yeah, I mean, you can be looking at GameCube level graphics as long
Yeah.
as it's in a decent resolution in VR, and
You would be totally in it.
yeah,
Like,
you're plugged in.
yeah. Yeah, so like it's tough too because VR is just one of those things that like seeing is believing for VR. Like you have to actually put that headset on someone to be like for them to be like, okay, now I get it. Like you
Yeah.
can't just show them gameplay.
Yeah,
VR
and
is
if
one
you
of
do
those
just show them
things-
gameplay, they might get sick.
Yeah. What's that, Mike?
VR is one of those things that could change the way a game plays. Like Phasmophobia VR is radically different than regular Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
It's way pukier.
Just some people. Some people
Yeah,
can
but,
actually
like-
play it for long sessions.
You see that like stuff like that, comments like that, the potential for VR is insane. Like the gameplay potential, the immersion potential. I just feel like we need something to tip us over the edge to make it. Like,
Flying through
yeah.
Charleston in Flight Simulator the first time was incredible. Flying
was
through
Flight
it in
Simulator a 2020 game?
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I just don't really even consider it a game that much, but I guess it is. But what I was gonna say is that flying through Charleston in Flight Simulator the first time was incredible. Flying through it in VR the first time, I couldn't keep my mouth like
Yeah.
I couldn't
I
shut my
can only
mouth. Like I had to
imagine.
pick it up off the floor. Like I was sitting there laughing to myself about how crazy it was.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Once we get that experience into everyone's hands, like VR will be a thing. But until then, it's still like a highly popular, semi-niche sort of offshoot of gaming, I think.
Do you think we're gonna get the Switch Pro in 2021?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Yes, I do think the Switch Pro is coming, or whatever they're going to call it. I think some more sort of credible leaks have come out saying that like it'll target 4K docked and it'll have like an OLED screen, like, and all that's very exciting. Also, like I'm kind of skeptical about that because I just hearing the words OLED and Nintendo product together, like I just don't see Nintendo like
See-
shelling out the money for an OLED screen. But like I would love to be wrong.
My hot take for the Switch Pro is that I think it will exist, and I think nobody should buy it because it's going to be using the same Joy-Cons, and no one should be supporting that.
Oh, you've got to think they fixed the drip.
I absolutely have no doubt in my mind that they have not fixed it.
That would be absolutely wild
I've
if
bet
it
so
comes out
much-
and it's just the same.
the same Joy-Cons that will last you less than a year. Yeah, I guarantee it.
But like, man, like I guess it's an inevitability, right? Like eventually even companies like Nintendo will be targeting 4K just because like, components become cheaper and it's easier to build more powerful machines. But I just never thought really we'd get here already. Like the Switch is going to be a 4K machine, and that's just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, I hate
like,
that because Switch skipped being able to even hold a stable 30 frames per second in 1080p. So
yeah, I mean, but the thing I'm getting at is that that's not Nintendo's strength. Sony and Microsoft, sure, like they're kind of like mini PCs at this point. It's more accessible PCs. People who don't want to build their own PCs pick up a Sony and Microsoft machine for third parties, and then choose between Sony and Microsoft for their first parties. But Nintendo is like living in their own world, and they're very, very successful at it. And I don't know why they want to chase after 4K resolution. But I guess.
I mean, my problem with it is if you take something that plays Breath of the Wild, in its bad parts. If I'm playing Breath of the Wild in 20 frames per second at 720p and you raise that to 20 frames per second in 4K, you have not improved this experience for me at all. Like, that still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think that developers will use the horsepower for different reasons, right? Like obviously, like it's being advertised as 4K, but they could use it for frame rate.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Yeah, like
I personally, my favorite thing is the variable resolution when you're playing a game. I would so much rather resolution drop than frame rate when stuff gets dicey.
Yeah, and I wonder like how like the issue of like back compat will work, right? Like obviously I think this is still going to be a Switch, so all your Switch games will work, but will your Switch games be enhanced? Like I don't know if Nintendo will
Based
go
on
through the
previous
trouble of
Nintendo
doing
products,
that.
I super doubt it.
Yeah,
Like,
I highly doubt it, but that would be a huge surprise if they were. But I imagine like all Switch, like if and when this thing comes out, then at that point all Switch products going forward will have like two SKUs, right? Like one for Switch Pro and one for Switch
maybe,
main.
but people thought that for the new 3DS too, which was a significant hardware upgrade, and I think there's like maybe 20 games that actually benefit from it outside of load time.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know.
Nintendo.
Like, it's Nintendo, but this is also Nintendo after they've merged their handheld and console businesses together. So I feel like they don't really have room to blunder.
Maybe.
Actually, this is the year that Nintendo. 2020 was the year that Nintendo really eroded a lot of good graces that they had.
I don't see that slowing down in 2021. That's
so
another hot
Nintendo's-
take I have. We're not going to see a Nintendo Direct in 2021. I don't think we will.
Why not?
We haven't seen one in 20. We haven't seen one in like 8 months or something. Not a real one. We've seen indie directs and Pokemon directs, but those are not
okay.
Nintendo
Okay,
directs.
but you got to think maybe they're not giving directs because they want to have a huge blowout when they unveil the Switch Pro.
Nah, I don't think they're going to do it. I think that.
Okay.
I mean, they didn't do a Nintendo Direct for freaking Paper Mario. Like, they just don't do it anymore. I think it's done. They reveal games on Twitter. That works for them.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I sort of like that format. Like, I don't want to just. I like the theater of all of it, but I guess it's more effective to just tweet something out if it gets you the same results.
Yeah, I prefer a Direct, but yeah. As somebody who runs an indie company, if I could do less work and get the same effect, I would have a hard time
Right.
justifying everything.
So yeah, just staying on Nintendo for a second. We still have, I think, 2 or 3 Smash Fighters left, right? Is it 2 or 3?
Yeah.
3?
Three.
Yeah. So that's
I have after Sephiroth. I mean, we've said this after every single character, but all bets are off. It could be anybody. It's probably gonna.
It's so funny. We say that every time, but we still manage to get surprised. Like we say that every time, but Sakurai still finds a way to surprise us.
There will be another Fire Emblem character, and I will be mad.
I don't think so. Like there's no Fire Emblem game coming out that we know of. So
yeah. Well,
now a Pokemon I could see.
A Pokemon wouldn't bother me that much, especially after how good Incineroar is. But
oh yeah, speaking of Pokemon, just today this isn't really surprising, but like Diamond Pearl remakes are probably going to get imminently announced in like a month or so.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say they were announced because I saw that Pokemon or new Pokemon Snap, I think they're calling it. Nintendo
Yeah.
should love to name things. But that's kind of interesting. I feel bad because I was saying how badly I wanted a Pokemon Snap game on the Wii U because of how perfect it fit the hardware. And now that they're doing it on the Switch, I don't know that I care. I don't know that I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, I never actually tried Pokemon Snap, so I don't really get the hype, but I know it's a big deal.
I have a broken Pokemon Snap cartridge, but I really think that game is largely big because of nostalgia. Like it's not that fun.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's not like I don't know. It's
But yeah, like I think potentially Nintendo is going to have a huge year. New Switch, new Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and that's just, what we know. There's obviously going to be stuff we don't know.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, Nintendo loves shadow dropping stuff now.
Yeah, like just thinking through their franchises, what could be next, right? We've got the Mario 3D World remake thing coming out as well, which I guess is cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'm
in terms of
excited
new
to
games,
see. I don't know if you guys saw, but the Bowser's Fury stuff looked more like an Odyssey Kingdom than a 3D World level.
so is that I'm still kind of confused as to what that is. Is that like is that just like an add-on to the game or
Yeah.
whatever? Okay. Because they
Yeah,
always like
it's-
phrase it like plus Bowser's Fury, and I was like, what does that mean?
That's like the addition, yeah. Like
Yeah.
that's like plus Luigi U, you know?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've never actually played Mario World or Super Mario 3D World, so I'm pretty excited to try it just because it's like another 3D Mario, and I'm
Yeah, well,
into that.
it's barely a 3D Mario. You know, it's like
I mean, it's not a 3D Mario in the sense it's another Odyssey or Galaxy or Sunshine or 64.
well, it
but
is
it's
kind of like another Galaxy. Like
okay.
'cause
Yeah,
Galaxy's fairly linear.
yeah. I'm all about that. That's
Yeah.
great.
No, it's a good game. I just don't want you to have the wrong expectations. It's very fun. It's fun in multiplayer. I can't decide whether I'm going to buy it again or not because I did play through all of it on Wii U. But I kind of want Bowser's Fury. I have seen some
Oh.
people saying they think that Bowser's Fury is only getting added to this instead of being Odyssey DLC because they want to charge you $60 for it.
I'm about to drop another crazy prediction. This time
Okay.
for the Switch. Mario Kart 9 gets announced this year. Think about
I
it.
don't-
It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, and what do they do though?
New Switch
Like,
console, new Mario Kart. I think that's going to happen.
I hope so. I would love a new Mario Kart because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is extremely good, but also I have serious fatigue playing those same tracks all
Yeah,
the time.
I've played that game to death.
It's weird to say it, but 48 tracks is not enough. Like
Yeah,
me and
I
my
don't-
friend Tyler, we sit down every once in a while and we just set it to like 48 races and we, have a drink and play through every single track.
That's
And
wild.
I'm
You
left
played all
wanting-
in one sitting?
Yeah, a lot of the time, yeah. And then I'm left wanting more at the end. Me and my roommate Josh used to do that too, fairly regularly. He creamed me though.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's about time for more Mario Kart because, like, obviously it's being worked on, right? Like Mario Kart is their biggest franchise, I believe. Well,
It sells
now-
more year after. Mario Kart 8 is still selling though.
Yes, it is.
That's it.
I was gonna say I don't think I can call it their biggest franchise after Animal Crossing last year. I think Animal Crossing might have outsold it.
I don't think so because I'm pretty sure Mario Kart 8 sold more this year than it did the year it came out.
Yeah, Mario. So Mario Kart's another one of those games that like everyone plays. People who don't play video games play Mario Kart. Like
It's
everyone plays
extremely
Mario.
evergreen.
Yeah. And for good reason. It's just so much fun. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting map fatigue from playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but like I would still absolutely play that anytime with my friends. Like that, so much fun.
Yeah, that has been our fallback. Like if we can't decide on an Xbox/PC game on Game Pass to play, we're like,
Yeah.
well, always Mario Kart.
And
There's
I
always
guess
Mario Kart.
just segueing from that Xbox like potentially huge year with Halo Infinite, like
Psychonauts 2 comes out this year. That's going to be huge for me personally.
yeah. Yeah, I don't have too much to comment on that, but I know you're really hyped for it, Connor.
You should play the original. You would really like it. It is a 3D
it's a 3D platformer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm into those.
with collectathon
But just-
aspect.
Just speaking to Halo Infinite for a minute. Yeah, I know it like had a rough reveal last year. But like the more I hear about this game, the more I'm getting cautiously optimistic, right? Like they recently announced they're gonna like big team battles coming back, and that just brings me back to like Halo 3 big team battle. And I hope, like it doesn't look like they're gonna have a battle royale mode, which is good. I don't think Halo needs a battle royale. Like I would much rather have like a giant map, like full of like vehicles, big team battle style. So I'm getting kind of excited for Halo. Like I hope they can pull it off, and if they need to delay it again, so be it. But like
I don't know if I trust 343.
yeah, I mean they certainly haven't lived up to Bungie's Halo games yet. But
I'm also sitting here looking, and I can play Halo 1 through 4 on my PC now, and Reach and ODST. I can't play Halo 5 yet, and I don't know if I'm going to buy Halo Infinite if I can't play Halo 5. I'm going to be very confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like their resources obviously right now are focused on Infinite, but
I don't know. I mean, the Master Chief Collection is still getting constant updates.
Well, Master Chief Collection is getting constant updates because it's Xbox's biggest game, so
yeah.
Yeah, so like I obviously that is the one known quantity, right? But we've also got like, Xbox acquired Bethesda, for Christ's sake, like
oh yeah,
and they're
happened.
talking about an Indiana Jones game.
Yeah,
and,
that could be huge, and
when that's an Xbox exclusive, that's gonna sting.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that would be the Uncharted killer if I ever saw one, like it'd be like actual Uncharted, Uncharted is just Indiana Jones. Now they have the real thing.
But Uncharted, Nathan Drake is way cooler than Indiana Jones ever was.
I mean, I agree with you, but I feel like a lot of people don't.
I feel like a lot of older people don't, but I feel like a lot of younger people know more about Nathan Drake than Indiana Jones, and who buys games.
Well, and obviously we've got the Coalition, which is Microsoft's like biggest, like baddest studio making Perfect Dark, and that's supposedly going to be like a huge deal. So Microsoft, obviously many studios gestating a lot of AAA games. It's just not. I just don't know whether any of them will actually come out this year, besides probably Halo.
Yeah, and Microsoft just never stops impressing me with their indie program as well.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ori 2 came out last year, and that was just breathtaking. Like, I haven't even played it, and I'm calling it breathtaking just from what I've seen, Like, I would love to play it soon, but, as always, there's so much to play. But yeah, Microsoft's it's something I definitely want to keep my eye on, right? Because they've got all these studios now. They're making all these games. Hellblade 2, like maybe that's a 2021 game. Obviously, some of these games are going to be 2021 games. It's just we don't know which.
If 2021 doesn't end up being an awesome year for games, 2022 is going to be insane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because
absolutely. Yeah. And just throwing this out there. Where's Elden Ring?
Oh God, I'm not gonna let you hype me up on Elden Ring. That'll come when it comes.
Elden Ring, in my opinion, has the potential to be, in the whatever years it comes out, easily the best game that year. Like, and I'm saying that full well knowing that Breath of the Wild 2 might come out this year. Like, I could foresee a reality where Elden Ring is a better game to me than Breath of the Wild 2. That's how hyped I am for that game. So
yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
If it's as good as Dark Souls 1, then it would be tough. But
yeah, God, I'm getting chills just talking about Elden Ring. I'm so hyped for that game. But, that's always a very dangerous game to play. Like, people felt that way about Cyberpunk, and look at what happened.
Yeah.
And, like CD Projekt, I mean, I don't know. Witcher 3 was kind of buggy at launch, right?
Yeah, Witcher 3 was a disaster. It was really buggy at launch.
Yeah, so what I'm getting at is, like, Miyazaki, like, obviously all games have bugs at launch, but, like, his games have been pretty solid from FromSoft over the years, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I there's good reason to be hyped, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, and I think the last major topic in terms of, like, 2021 predictions, Sony, right? Like, Sony just had a very wildly successful PS5 launch, like obviously there's like that stock shortage issue, but like we've got the new God of War potentially coming out this year. I don't believe that for a second. I totally think that's a 22 game, but they advertised it as a 2021 game. And that again for me is a massive, massive game. You know, that to me, a new God of War has the potential to go toe to toe with, you know, Breath of the Wild 2 or Elden Ring. But you
I
know,
still really need to play the first one.
yeah, it's a great game. And obviously things that we know that are more sure fire things, right? We've got Ratchet and Clank from Insomniac. Horizon Forbidden West, I feel like that's like 80% chance being this year. Like, so I feel like their big games for sure this year are going to be Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, and then who knows after that, right? But you know, Sony's obviously got like a very illustrious first party studio, a group of first party studios, and they've all got to be working on something.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to see anything from Naughty Dog or Sucker Punch. We just got Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2, but, you know, Guerrilla with Horizon 2 is probably going to be a thing. Insomniac with Ratchet and Clank. And then, you know, obviously Spider-Man 2's got to be cooking as well.
And obviously we're going to see The Last of Us 2 remastered. Extremely soon.
I definitely could see that. Well, more so because of the fact that factions, right, like The Last of Us multiplayer, that was cut from The Last of Us Part 2 just because they wanted to get the game out and focus on single player. I could see a reality where Last of Us 2 remastered plus factions is a PS5 game.
Yeah.
And I never played really The Last of Us multiplayer, but I know that was hugely popular. So
yeah, it was kind of fun.
I imagine a lot of people will be excited about that. Yeah, so aside from that, like barring any surprises, which obviously will happen, like I don't know what else Sony's going to put out this year. But, you know, all in all, like it's looking like a pretty exciting year for video games once again in 2021. You guys have any other thoughts?
No, I mean, it's really hard to predict where things are going.
Yeah, it's super hard to predict where games are going.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially after we made predictions last year, what happened? You know, I almost hesitate to even do this. But
no, you don't. You were excited.
No, I'm excited. Yeah. But yeah. So a couple more Sony games I just wanted to shout out. Returnal, which is an awful name, but it's a game made by Housemarque, who did like Resogun. They're known for the twin stick shooters, and this is the first game that's sort of outside of that wheelhouse for them. So I've always really liked Housemarque games, so I'm excited to check that one out. And another one that was shown last year, Kena Bridge of Spirits. You guys remember seeing that game?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it looked really neat. It was kind of like Pikmin, but it had like this gorgeous art style.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see where that went.
I've got my eye on that too. So yeah, all of that's like Sony in a nutshell. But like, there's some big third-party releases I'm looking forward to as well, like Resident Evil Village.
Oh yeah,
I've really gotten into Resident Evil like over the last couple years. So like that's
the remakes.
Yeah, the remakes plus, you know, like 7 and like I'm just all about those games now. Like I don't know, like I really sort of started my journey with the horror genre in gaming like very recently. So this is all like fresh, exciting stuff to me. But no, I think 2021 will be a good year for video games. I don't know if it'll be as good as 2020, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right. Yeah.
You guys ready to dive into games we've been playing?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll go first. I think I've actually talked about it on the show, but it's been like 3 years or something. I've been playing Stardew Valley. 1.5 came out pretty recently. Big update on PC.
It's wild to me that game's still getting updated.
Yeah, I mean, Concerned Ape, just kind of Eric Barone. You know, he's richer than God now, so like he can just keep adding what he wants to add. And It's good. I love it. I finally finished the community center, which was something I never thought I would do because I found it extremely overwhelming and just kind of ignored it for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what from what I've seen is new, but it's just a super chill game, you know. It's I definitely said this before. I think when the Animal Crossing when we talked about Animal Crossing coming out, I have to fight like my urge to what's the word? Min-max. I have to fight the urge to min-max in games like Stardew Valley because that I mean it doesn't always take the fun out of it. Some people like that is the fun for them, but I like fall into that and then like if I can't get it fully optimized, suddenly I'm not having fun anymore, and that's lame. So typically, you know, I just fire it up before bed or something, talk to my virtual wife who says the same thing every day, pat my virtual kid on the head, go pick my virtual crops, and go fishing or go mining or whatever. Just kind of hang out in town. They've definitely added a lot of in-game stuff that's interesting. There's like a boat you can build now, and I guess you go to an island, and I think there's a ton of content waiting for me on that stupid island, but I can't get there because it's winter, which means I can't get any batteries, because to get batteries you need lightning, and there's not very much of that in the winter.
Yeah, Stardew Valley, like I've started it and played it, you know, for a few hours a couple times, and I really enjoy what I played. It's just for some reason I always ended up getting distracted, but like I have it in my mind eventually I'll just go hard at Stardew Valley because it really is the ultimate like chill game. Like even more so than Animal Crossing, I think. There's something about Stardew Valley that's really just
I mean,
calming.
Stardew Valley has the advantage of having like set characters that all have their own little story to
Right,
them and
yeah.
stuff, and like this fixed town that is super charming. And also like Animal Crossing forces you to play at their pace, whereas Stardew Valley you can play at any pace you want.
Right, yeah.
So, and you can really play it any way you want. Like, you know, if your first year, you know, really you're not interested in farming that much, just focus on the mines. You can do that. You might not make a ton of money, but because farming is really the easiest way to get money. But, you know, it takes a while to get your farm automated and stuff. Maybe you don't want to wait. Maybe you just want to hit the mines, and you're allowed to do that. Or maybe you just want to fish. That's what I did for the vast majority of my first year. I liked fishing, so I did that a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see what keeps getting added to it, you know, because like every now and then I hear that this game's been updated again. I'm just like, wow, it's still getting stuff added. It's
I
just
hate that
wild.
I didn't get it on Switch because that seems like the perfect
Oh
place
yeah,
to
it's
play it.
absolutely yeah. That's where I have it, and it's
Yeah.
that's where you got to play it.
Yeah, I can play it on my phone now because I have a controller and a clip and can Steam Remote play it to keep my save and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Little convoluted, but like, you know, if I want to lay in bed and play some Stardew Valley, it is now an option for me.
Nice.
That's, you know, not a lot to say. Everybody's heard of Stardew Valley. Good game.
Wonder if
Yeah.
do you think he'll ever make a sequel or a different game, or is he just gonna keep updating it?
I don't know. I mean, we look at its main inspiration, which is Harvest Moon, and that game has 1 billion sequels.
Right. Yeah.
But I just don't. I feel like I don't know that he would do that. I don't know. I feel like if he was gonna do a sequel, it would be very tonally different. Like it wouldn't be a farming game. It would have a lot of like the same world building style stuff as Stardew Valley, but you wouldn't be a farmer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know that he would do that at all. I really don't know. I don't know much about Concerned Apes games he made before this. I don't know a ton about him.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't think anyone
so
does.
yeah, I don't know either. I do remember watching like a documentary once on just him and how he made this game by himself, and you know like how like one day he was just like a millionaire and it was just like shell shocking, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting story.
Yeah, and then there's the fact that he worked with Chucklefish for a while and stuff. That's kind of.
Yeah, that's a bag of worms. But yeah, I can go next if you're done, Connor.
Oh yeah.
All right, so it is my great shame to report that I have been playing MapleStory.
I've
like
been
a
feeling the
madman.
itch too, man.
So, okay, everyone has those one or two or maybe three games that you will always go back to over the years, like Old Faithful, right?
Yep.
Maple Story is one of those games for me. Like, I fully objectively realize and with confidence can say that it's absolute trash and will never be anything better than absolute trash. But I still love it all the same, you know?
You don't even play it in what I consider the most fun way to play it. Like you don't do the quests and read the shitty writing
Oh,
and like get
absolutely
immersed
not.
in the world, which is what I like to do. I
Yeah,
like
so
vibing to the music and
I
exploring.
literally just I don't know. Like for me, Maple Story is just a way to like de-stress my brain. Like I completely turn my brain off and just kill things and level up and enjoy that for whatever reason.
See, I really like. I don't know. I like the world. I think the Maple Story world is just
It
extremely
is
charming.
very charming. Yes.
And I like
Maple
doing
Story
like
World is very charming, but like I think it was charming in the best possible way like 10, 15 years ago. Now it's
see, I'm
charming, yes, but it's still it's like annoying now, I think.
Yeah, I definitely like the older content a lot, but every once in a while they'll add like a neat world that I like and stuff. Like I don't love a lot of the new story content and stuff, but you know, some of the event worlds that they've left up, I've gotten to go and play around in and stuff. And I have
Yeah.
a good time. I think it's neat.
Yeah, I
like
mean
that
like sorry.
it's just the art is so cute.
It is
I
really
love it.
good. Yeah. The art is definitely the strongest and most attractive part about that game, I think. Like if that game didn't look like that, it wouldn't even be like half as popular, I don't think. But yeah, like yeah, I don't know. Something about Maple Story, I guess it just fills my base desire to get like more powerful, you know, like I just enjoy seeing
Gotta
the
play
numbers.
Noita.
Yeah, I just enjoy seeing the numbers go up as I level up and like get more powerful equipment. That's like my main source of joy from that game.
God, you have to play Noita. I get such a high from when I can do if you can do over 1 million damage in a single frame, a message pops up in Noita saying the gods are afraid. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah, and like, oh, and it feels so earned. You have to give it a shot.
I
Man.
will. I will.
But yeah,
But
I agree. I like actually the bigger numbers. It's funny I say that because I actually like RPGs with small numbers. I've realized that recently. I think that's one of the reasons I liked
Maple
Dragon
Story has
Quest
the
so much.
biggest numbers I've seen in a game. It's just
I love
stupid.
I look at a Final Fantasy game and I see that like you're barely into the game and you're already doing like 150 damage and I'm like, man, why? Like why is that not 15? Like
So I'm like doing like I'm seeing numbers like 20 million pop up.
oh yeah, you can't read them anymore. I guarantee you can't read them anymore because I'm like level 50 or something in Maple Story and I can't read them anymore. Like
It's pretty absurd. It's
Yeah.
absurd in that anime way, in the best way, I think.
yeah.
But yeah. Go ahead.
Did they take out the pirates that can like go Super Saiyan? Did that get removed? Okay,
I
good.
don't think. Yeah, like Maple Story Takeout does not compute. Like they just keep adding stuff. you know?
Nah, they took out all my favorite stuff. They
Like,
the whole
well,
the Big Bang ruined the world.
In
for
terms
me.
of the world, I meant like character content, I guess, classes and stuff.
They took away. No, they definitely took out some stuff for pirates. They made pirates less cool to me.
Really? I don't
Yeah,
remember
at
that.
some point. But yeah.
Yeah,
Maple
there's
Story.
just an absurd number of classes in the game now. There's so many. But the
I have
main
so many
reason,
good memories in that game.
yeah, I mean, I'm still having a good time with it. But like
Yeah.
over the holidays, like Christmas, New Year's, that time frame, I really sort of really got into it. And the main reason I do is because they have these events a few times a year called a burning event. And what it is essentially you can create a burning character, which means that character will level up 3 times for every level. So it's just a really awesome way of speed running, I guess, the character progression and just getting to the point where you can like do bossing activities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the main reason I want to talk about this game today is because I hit a very, very important milestone in that game. A milestone I never ever thought I would hit when I first started playing that game in like middle school. I hit level 200 with a character, which is just absurd.
What
it's not-
character was it? An explorer?
No. So it's one of the newer classes. It's called the Blaster. And the reason I enjoy the Blaster so much is that it's not completely mindless, like control wise. Like there's actual some technical skill required to play that class really well, and I just really enjoy doing that. Right,
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say
there's
having to
several.
think would be a game changer in
Yeah, no,
MapleStory.
there's several classes in MapleStory where you just spam like one button over and over again, but that's not the case for the blaster. Like the my main attacking like pattern or whatever for the blaster, I have to hit like three keys in a certain order like several times per second. It's like very fast paced. Like it actually like if your fingers aren't suited for it, it will like make your hand hurt.
Wow.
So, but like for some reason that class really clicked with me. So I got it all the way to level 200. And like back in the day, level 200 was like this unachievable like mountain, like this summit that like only a few people got to. But like obviously over the years, they made leveling very easy.
Yeah,
So
it's almost expected now.
yeah, so level 200 isn't as big of a deal as it was back in the day, but it still was a huge accomplishment to me. Just as a kid who started MapleStory back in the day, who would spend weeks getting from like level 53 to 54. Like
Yeah.
being the
Oh my
dumb
god,
kid
I
I
used
was.
to be so slow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But what I will report is though, it seems like that slowness is just has been shifted to like 200 plus.
Oh
Because
really?
yes, I was shocked because like I was killing things as a level 200 and I saw my percentage go up by like 0.01, 0.02. And I was like, this is the MapleStory I remember, you know. But yeah, like but what really sort of shocked me that I really didn't see coming was how things change at level 200, right? So like they have a fifth job now, like fifth job is level 200 plus, and the game opens up in a way that it really didn't for the previous 200 levels, which is, an absurd thing to say, but it's very true. Like the entire like power system becomes different at level 200. You get like these weird nodes, and like how you like equip and like level up skills in these nodes like affects how you do different attacks and stuff like that. An entire new world opens up. So like a world in addition to the Maple world as a whole. It's called like the Arcane River, and it has its own like sort of power system in addition to the just the base like power level you build up as you level up. So the mechanics greatly expanded at level 200. It's not really something I was anticipating, but like after googling around a bit, like a lot of MapleStory veterans say that the game really truly only opens up and starts at level 200, which is just
That's insane.
mind
Yeah.
blowing to me. Like because you've experienced, Connor, the disgusting horror of just leveling up through that game, like back in the
Yeah.
old day. Like before, they made leveling easy. I could only imagine what it must have took to level to 200. But now I can see that sort of grind has been shifted to from 200 to 275, which I think is the new max.
I mean, a lot of people still know the name of the guy who was the first to get to 200.
Fangblade. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Fangblade. Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah. God,
Yeah.
I can't believe you knew that. I don't know his
I
name.
knew that off the top of my head.
Top of the
Like,
dome.
yeah, yeah. So no, like I'm pretty excited. Like I previously, like throughout the years, I say always go back to MapleStory for like a few days, then I uninstall it and don't touch it again. This time is different, like I've been playing it on and off for like the better part of a month now, and I don't feel like stopping. So I don't know what changed. I don't think it was MapleStory.
No,
So
it
it must have
definitely
been
wasn't
me.
MapleStory.
Yeah. But like for some reason, this is really speaking to me now, and for the first time since like I was in high school, and I'm excited to see where this journey takes me. Like I'm level 200 now, and like I'm exploring these new systems, and I want to see how far I can get before like being disgusted at the slow leveling and uninstalling it again. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. MapleStory mostly.
Man, have you been doing it?
Mike, you want to round us off?
All right, so I bought a game a little while ago during the Steam sale as a joke. It's called Senran Kagura Estival Versus. And if you don't know what that is,
Sounds anime.
it's very anime. Way too anime for me. It's imagine if you were playing Dynasty Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's anime girls.
Oh.
And
Oh no.
as they take damage,
Oh no.
Oh no.
Clothing explodes.
Oh my. Is this
I
game
com-
Twitch safe?
It is Twitch safe, actually. I've streamed the entirety of the main story. So, honestly, I went into it expecting, oh, this is just going to be a really bad game that's there for like the horny gamer boys. But what I came out with was an actual good game.
Oh, that's good.
Like, it wasn't a bad game. It was kind of fun.
So it's a Dynasty Warriors style game.
It's Dynasty Warriors mixed with like a fighting game almost.
Okay.
A lot of fun.
Is it like based off an anime or is it just like its own thing?
It's its own series.
Okay.
It's based off of like another couple games.
Weird.
It's a fun game. I had a lot of fun playing through it. Although it got frustrating towards the end because the AI is kind of trash.
Yeah. Yeah, that's classic Dynasty Warriors.
And
But Dynasty Warriors style games, to me, it's all about like the power trip, right? Like,
Yeah.
like the feeling of mowing down like thousands of enemies at once with your attacks. That's the main point of Dynasty Warriors. But
because when you corner the AI, the boss AI likes to use their supers on repeat if you corner them, which is honestly annoying because they're super easy to dodge and you have to wait till the animation goes away. It's not a fun time. Just waiting for it. But altogether, I had a lot of fun playing the game.
that's
had-
good. Hopefully, hopefully Twitch doesn't ban you for.
No, it's
For-
completely allowed on their stream game list. It's not AO, and it's not outright banned. There's no nudity in it. It's like that
Cowards.
the coward's
Oh
nudity.
God.
Like if you
Oh,
do
man,
end up
that's-
ripping off all their clothes, they'll get shiny nipples and it'll be fine.
God, Japan can be so trashy sometimes.
And it's just
Yep.
nuts.
You know, it really like this is a totally separate discussion, but like I hate telling people I really like anime because they immediately associate it with that kind of stuff. And it's
Senran
not.
Kagura.
Like it's a very broad anime is a very broad thing, you know.
Like it was a nice romp through like the horny side of anime. Not gonna lie, I eventually just got engrossed. I actually didn't get engrossed in the world. I'd lie. The
Got
world was
engrossed in
there.
something, didn't you, Mike?
Yeah. I also pulled my highest Twitch viewer accounts in a long time playing
That's
that
cool.
game, which kind of weird.
Well, now you
Playing
know. Now you know what the people want. So
The people want me to play more anime titty. That's what they want. I can't wait till the summer arc where I play the other Senran Kagura game.
Mm-hmm.
No, the reason I bought it is that a group of friends, we all bought it at once. We're like, let's just play the multiplayer. Have a good battle royale or something like that.
You don't have to explain yourself to us, Mike.
we're judgment.
No, I
free
bought it
podcast.
live on another person's stream. I could pull up the exact VOD of the moment where I'm like, ooh, okay, bot.
You're just digging yourself a hole. You're talking too much.
I'll dig myself the hole as much as I want.
On that note, thank you guys for listening. I hope 2021 overall is a better year than 2020. We have our predictions here for how gaming will eke out in 2021, but obviously, you know, like the world at large is much more important, and hopefully things on that front get better too. But for now, thank you guys for listening. You can follow us at Ad Podcast Game Talk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on any podcast service you use, as well as YouTube. And click the link in the description of this podcast to join our Discord and chat with us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yep. Bye, guys.
We'll catch you next time. See ya.